Jack O'Sullivan sent his mum a message at 1:52 a.m. Might go to a club, but I'll get a taxi or an Uber. He didn't come home. What began as a normal night out, a few drinks, a house party in Bristol, has become one of the UK's most haunting unsolved disappearances. In the early hours of 2nd of March 2024, Jack left a party alone. He was seen wandering the streets near the harbour, seemingly disoriented, then vanished. No confirmed sightings. No belongings recovered. His phone stayed online for 3 more hours, then went dark. Despite months of investigation, extensive searches and a growing reward, now at £100,000, no one has been able to answer the only question that matters. What happened to Jack O'Sullivan? Welcome to Bad Things. Join us as we retrace his final known movements, examine the competing theories, and uncover, piece by piece, what most likely happened. Jack O'Sullivan was 23 years old, a recent history graduate from the University of Exeter, living at home in Flaxburton while studying for a law conversion course. On Friday, 1st of March 2024, he headed into Bristol to meet university friends. After starting the night at a Wetherspoons pub, the group moved to a house party in the Hotwells area around 11 p.m. The neighbourhood, bordered by the Cumberland Basin and Bristol's floating harbour, is defined by water, bridges, and fragmented roads. Jack stayed at the party until around 2:50 a.m. CCTV showed him leaving alone at 2:53 a.m. At 1:52 a.m., before he left, he had texted his mum, Catherine O'Sullivan, "I might go to a club, but I'll get a taxi or an Uber." Over the next 45 minutes, Jack's movements were partially captured on CCTV. At 3:13 a.m, he was seen near a car park below the Plimsoll Swing Bridge. He walked through green space, crossed toward Brunel Lock Road, doubled back, crossed a bridge to the south side, and later returned north. Police later described his path as erratic, as if he was unsure of where he was going. At 3:24 a.m, Jack called a friend still at the party. The call rang out. When the friend returned the call at 3:30 a.m, Jack answered, said only "hello," and then the line went silent before disconnecting. It's unclear what interrupted the call. At 3:25 a.m, a camera, missed by police but later found by Jack's family, captured him walking back across the top of the Plimsoll Bridge toward Hotwells. This critical image proved he had crossed back to the north side of the river. The last likely sighting came around 3:38 a.m. A traffic camera showed a figure believed to be Jack walking up Bennett Way, a slip road heading away from the harbour and toward the city. He was on the side of the road facing traffic. Police later said they could not confirm the footage definitively showed Jack, but the time and appearance matched. After 3:40 a.m, he was never seen again. Back in Flaxburton, Jack's parents woke early. Around 5:20 a.m, Catherine called his phone. It rang 4 or 5 times before going to voicemail. At 5:30 a.m, she sent a WhatsApp message. "Where are you?" 10 minutes later, it showed as delivered. According to Apple's Find My feature, the phone pinged a location near Granby Hill in Hotwells, close to where the party had been. That ping, combined with the WhatsApp delivery, suggested the phone was still connected to the network around 5:40 a.m. Police later said the location data may not have been precise. At 6:44 a.m, Jack's phone disconnected from the network. It was never reconnected. By 7:30 a.m, his parents tried to report him missing, but police told them it was too early. They drove to Hotwells, knocked on doors near Granby Hill, and contacted Jack's friends. None had seen him since the party. Police formally accepted the missing person report at 11:30 a.m., more than 8 hours after the last known sighting. Within days, Avon and Somerset police launched an intensive operation. Early on, investigators told the family they believed Jack had likely fallen into the water. "We believe Jack's fallen into the water. He's drowned, and there's a chance you'll never see him again," Catherine was told in a call. No evidence supported that. It was a working theory based on statistical precedent. Still, the search was extensive. Dive teams spent over 200 hours in the River Avon and Harbour Basin. The basin was partially drained. Coast Guard and RNLI assisted. A professional oceanographer helped map currents and tide flow. Nothing was found. Not Jack, not his clothing, not his phone. On land, the scale was just as large. Mounted officers, drones, search dogs, and helicopters combed hot wells, the basin, nearby parks, and woodland areas like Ashton Court and Lee Woods. Police reported over 40 structured land searches. The family later brought in a private search and rescue team to recheck the same zones. They too found nothing. CCTV review was massive. Over 100 hours of footage were collected and analysed, yet not all footage was preserved. The O'Sullivans later discovered that key CCTV clips had been missed or overwritten in the early days. They appealed directly to the public and recovered new footage, including the bridge crossing and Bennett Way sighting themselves. Digitally, Jack's phone remained a central focus. Police obtained data from EE under warrant, but said it yielded no breakthrough. However, one detail stood out. A spike in data use at 4:39 a.m. enough to stream a short video. What caused it remains unclear. The phone was still connected to data at that time. Due to data protection laws, police couldn't share the raw phone data with the family. After public pressure and a BBC appearance by Catherine, EE agreed to release the data directly to the O'Sullivans, who handed it to an independent digital forensics team. As of the latest updates, the analysis had not produced new leads. Police insist they have remained open to multiple outcomes. By March 2025, over 130 tips had been received and logged. The case remains open, with a senior investigator assigned to review all evidence 18 months after Jack disappeared. But to this day, Jack O'Sullivan has not been found. The disappearance of Jack O'Sullivan prompted a wide array of explanations, some grounded in precedent, others shaped by gaps in the record. From the outset, investigators, family members, and online observers proposed competing accounts of what may have happened in the early hours of 2nd of March 2024. These theories are not simply variations on a theme. In many cases, they point in entirely different directions, each hinging on different assumptions about Jack's movements, mental state, and environment. The most commonly discussed theory was that Jack accidentally entered the water. The area around the Cumberland Basin includes unfenced harbour edges, low lighting, and complex footpaths. Some believe Jack may have become disoriented and slipped, perhaps while navigating unfamiliar terrain in the dark or during a moment of distraction. That part of the harbour is dangerous, one Bristol local wrote online. You wouldn't even hear a splash at 3 a.m. This line of thinking also highlights a pattern seen in other UK cities. Young men, often intoxicated, disappearing near water. But critics of this theory have pointed out that exhaustive underwater searches produced no evidence of a fall, and Jack's phone stayed active for hours afterward. Something difficult to reconcile with immersion in water. An alternative explanation focuses on the possibility of an accident on land. With snow on the ground and sub-zero temperatures that night, some suggest Jack may have collapsed in an obscured location, a construction site, embankment, or behind a locked gate, and later succumbed to exposure. The Hot Wells area includes steep terrain and undergrowth, not visible from road level. Some speculate Jack could have entered an outbuilding or private property, seeking shelter. While no such location has yielded evidence, the phone's last known connection point, near a residential address, leaves the door open to this kind of scenario. A third theory proposes that Jack may have encountered a stranger, someone who offered transport, assistance, or possibly posed a threat. The idea of third-party involvement has been a persistent concern for Jack's family, especially given the complete lack of traceable evidence. He didn't just vanish into the air, his mother has said. One possibility is that Jack entered a vehicle, believing it to be a taxi or seeking warmth, and was taken elsewhere. Hundreds of vehicles were recorded moving through the area in the early hours of that morning, and police later confirmed that not all drivers had been identified. Still, there have been no sightings or reports linking Jack to any specific vehicle. Another line of thinking, far less widely supported, posits that Jack chose to disappear. Advocates of this theory point to his wandering routes and lack of clear direction. Could he have been struggling in ways unknown to his family? Could he have staged a disappearance and gone off the grid? While possible in theory, there's been no supporting evidence. His finances remain untouched, no planning steps have been uncovered, and his phone stayed online for hours. Not a typical move for someone seeking to vanish undetected. One final theory concerns events prior to Jack's departure from the party. Though not substantiated, there were scattered reports of a possible argument or conflict inside the house. Could something have happened that caused Jack to leave in distress, or led someone to follow him later? Police questioned attendees, but found no indications of foul play linked to the party itself. Still, the absence of witnesses after Jack left makes this theory difficult to confirm or eliminate. Each of these theories reflects a different kind of disappearance, an accident, an encounter, a voluntary act, or something more sinister, and each, if true, would suggest a profoundly different truth about what became of Jack O'Sullivan. Of the theories examined, the scenario most strongly supported by the known evidence is that Jack O'Sullivan was picked up, willingly or unknowingly, by a vehicle after 3:40 a.m. and taken away from the Hot Wells area. Unlike other explanations, this possibility accounts for the near-total lack of physical trace, the extended phone activity, and the context of Jack's last confirmed movements. To understand why this explanation holds, it's important to first consider what it rules out. If Jack had suffered an accident, whether into the water or elsewhere on land, some sign would almost certainly have emerged. In the harbour, search divers logged hundreds of hours, the basin was drained, and expert tidal analysis was used to predict drift paths. Even Catherine O'Sullivan, speaking with an independent harbour master, was told plainly if Jack had gone in, there would be something by now. Something always resurfaces. Not even a shoe was found. On land, the same absence applies. Infrared drone sweeps, specialist dog teams, and volunteers combed parks, woodlands, backyards, and embankments. The terrain had been examined repeatedly, with and without official oversight. No body, no clothing, no discarded belongings. Compare this to the third-party theory, that Jack was picked up, possibly thinking it was a taxi, or perhaps by someone he'd encountered on foot. The last confirmed sighting, 3:30 a.m. on the Bennett Way slip road, shows Jack walking uphill, away from the waterfront, in a location with regular vehicle traffic, even at that hour. It's not unreasonable to assume he may have tried to flag someone down. That section of road, while not ideal for hitchhiking, is consistent with someone trying to get back towards central Bristol, or beyond. The phone data adds further weight. Jack's device remained online for over 3 hours after his last appearance, connecting to the network as late as 6:44 a.m. More significantly, the 5:40 a.m. delivery of Catherine's WhatsApp message triggered a location ping near Granby Hill, a residential street just a few minutes from where he'd been earlier. This suggests the phone was still active, in use or moving through signal zones long after he was last seen. While that doesn't confirm he was alive at that time, it does imply the phone wasn't underwater or abandoned in a field. The unexplained data spike at 4:39 a.m., equivalent to several minutes of video streaming, also sits awkwardly with theories involving accidental death shortly after 3:40 a.m. Whatever caused that data use, it suggests activity on the device. If it was background syncing, that still presumes the phone was in an area with reception, not buried or submerged. Catherine O'Sullivan has long voiced her view that her son left hot wells in a car. "I believe Jack got into a vehicle that night and was taken elsewhere," she told the press. That's the only way to explain why there's been nothing. The idea that someone picked him up, intentionally or opportunistically, is the only scenario that naturally explains the complete vacuum of evidence left behind. What would be the motivation? That part remains unclear. It may have been an unintended consequence, Jack entering the wrong vehicle and something going wrong. It may have involved a person who panicked, or worse. But whether it was a planned encounter or an accident that escalated, the end result, no CCTV, no body, no belongings, points to movement beyond the search zone. That is, removal by a second party. This is not an easy conclusion, nor is it a definitive one. But when all other options lead to dead ends, and the facts refuse to add up to an accident, this theory stands not because it is certain, but because it is the only one left that fits. Do you want to bring bad things with you wherever you go? Our episodes are now available as a podcast. Look us up on your favorite podcast app and listen to the most truth-seeking true crime podcast out there.